Hey,
We're back, people.
finally.
We've been gone for quite some time. We've been all over the place, here, there, and everywhere else.
Traveling the world, baby.
And while we've been gone, women's collegiate basketball has taken over the entire world.
Yeah. We missed a little basketball.
A little bit of basketball, and some good basketball it was. We talked with you at the beginning of the tournament about our brackets, and we are here to mourn the loss of all of our brackets.
Everyone.
No one in our bracket challenge got the champion, right? The LSU Tigers are your 2022-2023 national champions. Game just wrapped up about an hour ago. They took down Iowa. Damon, I compared it on Twitter to the college football playoff, where we had an incredible semifinals and kind of a disappointing championship game. This doesn't quite match up to the beatdown, not to go after TCU for no reason whatsoever, but
You love going after TCU.
it was a terrible national championship game. This game, it was competitive, but it really felt like LSU was in control the entire time.
The whole time. Even with Angel and everyone, it seemed like on the bench, they had Jasmine come up huge.
Dude, Jasmine Carson was kind of the story of the game. So
Yeah.
Angel Reese is your Final Four MVP. I don't think there was any question if LSU won the title, it was going to be Angel Reese.
I put some respect on Alexis Moore's name.
Fact. We could go on all day because this is a roster full of dogs, and I think that was the key to this win for them is that they had way more depth than Iowa.
Yeah.
We talked about, I didn't see the final number, but at halftime, LSU's bench was outscoring Iowa's bench 29-2.
Yeah.
Just, you can't win a game if your bench isn't contributing, especially when all of your star players are in foul trouble.
Exactly.
We had Monica Sonano fouled out. Caitlin Clark had 4. McKenna Warnock had 4.
I think she actually fouled out.
Did she foul out at the end?
Yeah, it didn't really matter.
It was garbage time. Everyone was in foul trouble the entire game, on both sides, but especially on Iowa. It got really bad going against Iowa.
I mean, we can't complain about the officiating too much. Both teams are seeing it, but there was 37 fouls called, 10 more than the record for the previous record for a championship game.
It was a whistle fest.
Oh my God.
They were blowing that whistle every chance they could get. Kind of ridiculous. And we had like a technical foul that went against Caitlin Clark that was just bogus. It didn't feel natural. It felt like they weren't quite letting the kids play, as they say.
Exactly, but they were letting Kim Mulkey play out there. She
my
was
gosh.
She was locking them up.
Her leash could not have been longer. In honor of Coach, I'm wearing my gaudiest pink shorts with a butterfly on them. Kim Mulkey's outfits took over March, but her personality as well, and it's crazy what they'll let her do on the sideline.
Yeah, the Kim Mulkey PR move to have her outfits be the narrative. Good on her. Awful person. Very upset she won.
Absolutely.
I'll put it out there. I'm not afraid to say it. Very upset she won. Congrats to all the players on that LSU team.
Right.
I love all of them.
Well, you got to focus on the players, but how could you possibly focus on the players when all anyone talks about is Kim Mulkey?
Oh my God, dude.
It's like a college sports thing in general that they talk about the coaches because the coaches are there for a long time. Players are there at most 4 or 5 years, maybe a 6th year. Coaches are there for a long time, but oh my God.
Jesus.
I love the women's basketball crew at ESPN, but talk about anybody but Kim Mulkey. Talk about Angel Reese, one of the best players in the country. Talk about Alexis Morris, one of the most underrated guards in the country.
Exactly.
Anybody.
They
Flo J.
won.
Johnson, maybe the best
Rapper in the league.
the future of the league and the rap game. As a freshman dominating, talk about Jasmine Carson. All they could talk about is Kim Mulkey.
Clock hit 0. First words that come out of the announcers is Kim Mulkey's Tigers. Kim Mulkey's the first words, not the players. They're talking Kim Mulkey. So I got my pick for next year. I'm going Stanford. We can't have Kim Mulkey ahead of Tara on this list.
Got to get somebody up there with her. I think it's crazy. And like you said, congrats to the players. Like an awesome group of players. They seem like great people. But they've got a cult leader at the front of the line. But let's talk let's talk about this semifinal, because national championship game, kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
Obviously, I am disappointed. Been on Iowa all season long, but after this semifinal game, I can't even feel down, because this run for Iowa was incredible. So in the Final Four, we had South Carolina, Iowa, LSU, and Virginia Tech. No huge surprises. If you had told me that only 2 1 seeds were going to make it,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that Virginia Tech would be one of them. But Virginia Tech really impressed me in the tournament.
Yeah.
And they were there at the end. And they played a good game with LSU.
Yeah, and Liz Kitley just announced she's coming back for another year, so look out for them again.
Big brain move. Buy on Virginia Tech futures.
Yeah.
They're returning most of a team that was this close to going to the national championship. They've got a great coach as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good future to buy right now. But this year came up a little bit short, won their region, and took on LSU, and that's just 2 very different styles of play.
Yeah.
Like, LSU is just big and physical, and that's how they got here. Virginia Tech shoots the lights out of the ball.
Mm-hmm. They got the closest thing to Steph Curry and Georgia
Oh my
Amor.
gosh. She is so
Fun to watch.
Caitlin Clark was the star of this tournament.
Yeah.
Georgia Amor was the sleeper. She is like Caitlin Clark with a little less flair, maybe. She hits threes from anywhere.
Yeah.
And all the time. And you talk Georgia Amor, Elizabeth Kitley, that's a sick duo. We had LSU just overpowering with the power of Angel Reese and Lexus Morris. Same thing that got them to the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side of the bracket, we had this Final Four, this all-time showdown, Battle of the Birds. We had Hawkeyes and Gamecocks. And all week leading up to this game, I was just so confused why South Carolina was such a heavy favorite.
Oh, for real.
I know, like, I get it. Like, they were, if you tell me they're the best team in the country, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to argue with you. But Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes, like, we're going to be talking about this for years. The run that they had this March, it's not a Cinderella run because they were a 2 seed.
Exactly.
But nobody expected them. They were in a bracket with Stanford, and then they had to face down. They did not end up facing Stanford, but they did have to face down South Carolina, and they were they should have been underdogs, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they were 12-point underdogs.
12-point plus 500, like, it's ridiculous. If you're following the Instagram.
I put out a video about it. I felt really, really good about that bet.
Yeah.
Plus 500 was incredible value, and South Carolina gave them an absolute run for their money, but Caitlin Clark could not miss. And this is like, when people talk about like a performance, like Michael Jordan in the 82 championship, like ever since that, like he became Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like I became a fan of Michael Jordan from that moment. Like this tournament made people Caitlin Clark fans.
Oh my God, yeah. This tournament was huge for the game.
Like not to get all corny women's sports media on you all, but the game won. The sport of women's basketball won March. It did, big time. And Caitlin Clark has become the face of college basketball.
Yeah.
She's coming back again. That's going to be, just next year's going to be ridiculous. There's going to be so much talent.
Oh.
So much talent coming back. You mentioned Liz Kitley is coming back. A lot of players are opting for an extra year rather than going pro.
Good for them.
We've been on it for a while now.
Stay
Like
as
you
long as
have
you can.
you have to incentivize players to go to the league. They're getting treated better in college, and they're probably making more money. Some of them. Why wouldn't they want to stick around?
Exactly.
Women's college basketball just took over.
Yeah. Did you see Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese combined gained over 400,000 Instagram followers?
That's wild.
Like,
just in March?
Just in March.
And that's crazy. Like, they were already stars coming into March. And then people have found out, like, just how sick they actually are. So, I think Iowa lost the game, lost the battle, won the war. Like, they're the coolest team in college basketball. I hope it carries over. We talked about, the coaching staff they have there. Lisa Bluter, our good friend Jan Jensen. Shout out Jan. You had a great run. Back next year. I'm really happy with the fact that I stayed on Iowa all year long. It's vindication for sure.
I am very unhappy I jumped the LSU shit.
It's true. No, it's true.
I was so heavy LSU.
We were on them early, and then we
gave up after that South Carolina game. Little did I know, they wouldn't have to face South Carolina again.
Well, here's the thing. Big picture, I think, in no particular order, South Carolina, Iowa, and LSU were the 3 best teams at the end of the season today. I think it's a rock, paper, scissors situation where Iowa matched up well with South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying 100 times out of 100 they beat them, but there's a reason I felt so good about Iowa going into that game. I think they match up well. I think LSU clearly matched up well with Iowa because they had the size to overwhelm and the physical play that Iowa couldn't really keep up with.
Exactly.
I don't think that LSU South Carolina in a rematch would have gone any differently. I think that would have been South Carolina would have walked.
Yeah.
So I think it's very fortuitous for LSU that they did not have to face South Carolina again. Because I think you change up the situation a little. If it's, with these 4 teams, if it's South Carolina, LSU, Carolina's your champ. If it's Carolina Tech, Carolina's your champ. If it's LSU, Iowa, that's what we had, LSU's your champ. If it's Iowa Tech, Iowa's your champ. I think if it's LSU, Carolina, Carolina's your champ.
Yeah.
So it's all about how things work out and who wins when. LSU got a good bounce with that, and Iowa didn't get the trophy. They probably had the biggest, not the biggest upset, but a huge win in the Final Four.
I mean, it would be the biggest upset, I say.
Yeah?
Yeah. No one thought South Carolina would lose right here.
That's true.
You haven't lost in 50 games.
Exactly. Well, I mean, in general, our picks did pretty well this season. Not our brackets per se, but if you remember, in the very first episode of this show, we picked national championship futures in a draft. And, Damon, we killed it.
Yeah.
We absolutely killed it. Let's zoom out a little bit from the Final Four to the Sweet 16. We picked 10 teams. We each picked 5. I had Iowa. I had Louisville. I had Miami. I had LSU. And I had Ohio State.
Yes.
You had South Carolina, UConn, Baylor,
UCLA,
Notre Dame. The only team out of those teams that didn't make the Sweet 16 was Baylor. And that's because they played UConn. So we got as many teams into the Sweet 16 as we possibly could from that draft. That's pretty impressive. And the fact that we skipped Stanford, we did not see Indiana coming. It didn't matter. They weren't there. They did not show up.
We left out Tennessee and Texas preseason.
Right. I think we saw the board pretty well.
Come on.
I mean, I think brackets kind of muddle your brain a little bit. You look at it and you're like, oh, I like this upset. It's like, when we look at the big picture, we knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Brackets,
more or less.
Maybe not so much. We do have a winner out of the bracket challenge. My Uncle Tom. Congratulations to Tom.
Way to go.
Tom, if you want to come on the show, we'll have you on next episode. My whole family picked Iowa. It was me, my brother, and my uncle picked Iowa. Everybody else picked South Carolina. Except for my buddy Adam, a true Vermonter through and through, had UVM. Adam, you ended up with 500 points, buddy. Nobody else had fewer than 690. But way to stay true to the green and gold there. This was an awesome tournament. I think, just to recap a couple of other storylines that I enjoyed, I thought Miami coming in was my long shot at the beginning of the season. That was my last one. Well, you had UCLA. I think they were both 10,000, plus 10,000. UCLA looked good all season. Miami was they played in the ACC, which is the Conference of Chaos. Mm-hmm. But they really were the Cinderella, if you can pick one in this tournament.
Oh yeah, and when we were talking about the bracket, sorry to interrupt. We named our regions as you do.
Yes.
Region of Chaos ended up with Miami a 9 seed, Nova a 4 seed, and then LSU a 3 and Utah a 2.
At chaos everywhere. Chaos everywhere. Miami went through Oklahoma State. All of these were upsets by seed. 9-8 Oklahoma State. They beat Indiana. That was huge. shout out Indiana, University of Indiana. Both their men's and women's teams lost to the University of Miami in like the span of like 2 days. You are owned by that other university now. Then they upset Nova, who I had going to my Final Four.
Yep.
And then played an absolute, just a stinker with LSU. 54-42.
Ugly basketball.
Ugly game. But Miami's a cool, like, fun team. They have all bigs, and then the Kavner twins, who are just, like, lights out shooters.
Yep.
It was a fun team to watch. Like, this was
sure.
a fun storyline to come out of March. Utah disappointed big time. We have to throw that one in there because who knew? We were right all along. Couldn't keep up with LSU. Out of the South Carolina bracket, Maryland had a great run. I think, they've been a team all season that was just, shout out Maryland because they were just consistent all season long. Good team, not quite great, but a great roster. And Diamond Miller is an excellent prospect.
Yeah.
We're going to talk WNBA draft coming up soon. Diamond Miller is going to be an excellent number 2 pick coming up this season. Another one, I think Haley Van Lith is just made for March.
She's fun, man.
She did not care about the regular season at all. Louisville was bad. I'm surprised they even got a 5 seed. I thought that was a little high for them. I did have them moving on because she's made for March.
Yeah.
Like, she just shifted into another gear when the tournament rolled around. And, man, the battle of her versus Caitlin Clark, that was another one that was, like, must-watch TV.
Yeah.
Appointment television.
Every time Caitlin Clark's on TV, you got to watch it.
Absolutely.
So.
And Haley Van Lith, Caitlin Clark, just, like, top 2 trash talkers. Just will say anything at all. But Caitlin Clark got right back at her when she tried to talk with the scoreboard.
You're down 15.
Right, yeah, they're down 15 points. Like, Louisville was outmatched in that game. But impressed that they got where they did.
Yeah.
I think my biggest disappointment, and it's not your disappointment because you've been high on Colorado. Colorado had a good run. I really thought Duke was going to get further.
Oh, me too, man. I mean, I love that Colorado team. But I wanted the Duke-Iowa matchup so bad.
It would have been so funny. It would have been so funny. It might have been the biggest margin of victory. Like, in the tournament, like in the history
Iowa
of the tournament.
definitely would have run away with it after watching this.
Like a 50-point game. But Duke was a team, we were high on them all year. Love that defense. What I was pissed about with this game, it wasn't even Duke losing, which I was upset about. It was that the under was at like 105. It was like the lowest under I've ever seen. I bet it, and at the end of regulation, it was 100 points total, but they were tied. It was 50-50. So they went to overtime, and Colorado, like, you're just not going to win that under with them going to overtime.
Almost
Painful.
did, too.
It almost, like, close enough, just in the way that the only Duke could, screwing me at the very end by going over.
The overtime 61-53 win for Colorado.
That is so gross, man. That's so gross. It's
Yeah.
so funny in women's basketball because you can have a game like the one we had today with 187 combined points, or you can have 114 in overtime. Just a hilarious sport all around. Anything can happen. And then in this bottom right corner, we had the fall of UConn. Failed to reach the Final Four for the first time in like a decade. Didn't even get to the Elite Eight. They made it to the Sweet 16. We were like, okay, maybe Gino's cooking something. It's his month. He was not cooking anything good.
Who let him cook?
Who let this man cook? They lost to Ohio State, which was Ohio State's like another team that was high on them to begin the season. They started really, really hot. They got up to number 2. Completely fell off. We all forgot about them. They got to the Big Ten final, and then we were like, okay, that was kind of fluky. Beat UConn in the tournament. So is this a good season or a bad season for Ohio State? I think it's how you finish, not how you start. So a solid finish for
sure.
the Buckeyes.
I mean, they dominated that game, man.
UConn's going to be interesting. I think.
Please stay healthy, Paige.
Right. Are people going to be sleeping on UConn next year? Or is it still like they're going to see that logo and they're going to say, okay, title favorite?
I think people might be sleeping a little. You
I would
haven't seen
love-
Paige. They were talking about it on Sue Bird on the Sue Bird and Tarasi show. They were saying you haven't seen Paige Beckers play in so long. You'll forget how good she is.
I've forgotten. She's been away for a long
I
time.
can't even remember last time I saw her.
No, I know. I'm thinking about like the bubble, but that's like even longer than it was. I think there's gonna be some good value attached to UConn, and we're gonna be thinking about these futures all summer long.
Yeah.
But I think like UConn is gonna have good value. I'm interested to see where South Carolina opens up because they are losing some production. I think Camilo Cardoso is going to be a hot pick for maybe like All-American. I know Liz Kitley's coming back, but
dude,
6'7". I mean,
unfair.
That's what had me sweating in the Iowa game. Like Aaliyah Boston was in foul trouble, only scored like 5 or 6 points.
Didn't matter.
Camilo Cardoso could not miss because she's so close to the rim. She's so much taller than everybody else.
Putting it in there.
I think Dawn's gonna do a big brain move where she's like, all right, I've lost some of my experience. Let's just feed the 6'7" person who is taller than everybody else on the court.
Every time they gave it to her, it was a bucket.
Every time. She grabbed every rebound. She's like Angel Reese with a little more height to her. Just dangerous. So, like, South Carolina's going to be back in a big way.
Yeah.
And then, like I said...
Dawn Staley's coaching.
I mean, come on.
Come on.
Dawn Staley's Gamecocks won the national championship.
Zai Cook's getting drafted. Cardoso goes for like 45. Dawn Staley does it again.
I will say, like, I like Dawn Staley, so I don't mind hearing about her.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing.
She's a good person.
Where it's like, Dawn Staley's good. It's like, they have like 5 All-Americans on the court, and we're talking about the coach. So I think maybe with, like, this will be kind of a revolution towards like a player-centric approach. I hope that like the resurgence, because it's not Lisa Bluter's Iowa Hawkeyes, it's Caitlin Clark's Iowa Hawkeyes, or Jan Jensen's Iowa Hawkeyes, depending where you're watching from. I
think that even going forward, like in the league, I think that'll be big for the league is having more player-centric focus.
It's so much like, and I do it too. Like I wear the logo. Like the logo woman. Let's get a little more, repping players, identifying players, like rooting for these awesome personalities and awesome players.
Yeah.
I think we touched on a little bit the upsets. Miami beating Indiana was huge. Stanford, Ole Miss was such a good team, like all season long, and we kind of forgot about them because the SEC was a 2-team race. Ole Miss was a good team. I don't think Stanford was ready, and they weren't look, in their win they scored 92, and their loss they scored 49. So like they're either scoring or they were really not scoring, and they can't win the ugly games.
That Ole Miss team, it's similar to the USC team Stanford struggled with.
Yep.
I think they're very similar and just they struggle with Ole Miss again.
They're gritty. They're a gritty team. Stanford falling off, opening up that door for Iowa, which was very cool. Any other storylines? Oh, yes! I almost forgot.
We were all in on Illinois. Mississippi State comes out, wipes the floor with them.
All-time bad. Did you switch your pick or did you keep it?
No, I kept the Illinois Mississippi State.
All-time bad fumble by me. I when Illinois lost, I was like, dang it, I was counting on Illinois, not the / Mississippi State. Mississippi State came out and took care of business against Creighton.
Dude, that was a bad game for them.
And their coach called out everybody. He had the talk to me nice list. He called out Biden, Obama, Ada Wilson. Nobody had us on their bracket. And that's what I think.
We did. Or I did.
He did. I did not. I absolutely did not believe in Mississippi State. But I think that's like coming away from this tournament. It's going to be tournament of Caitlin Clark, and it's going to be the tournament where we started to see some upsets.
Yeah,
they just started branding the women's tournament as March Madness. It was like about time.
What?
Like everybody already called it that anyway. So why didn't they got the branding, and it's funny like. There's a word for it, but when you follow whatever your name is, and finally we got to see some madness, like this tournament, like We had 12 seed Florida Gulf Coast beat 5 seed Washington State. That should have seen that one coming. That felt kind of dumb for that one. Number 11 Mississippi State beating Creighton. Like we had Princeton beat NC State. Like we had double-digit teams making upsets in the first round. Toledo beat Iowa State. That was a shocker. I had Iowa State going too far, and they fell in the first round. So this tournament was just sick because we got to see a little bit of the madness that people enjoy about the men's March Madness. That women's March Madness has been like, oh, well, it's gonna be all 1 seeds. We had 2 1 seeds and a 2 and a 3, and the championship game was no 1 seeds.
Exactly, first time since 2011. This was the year of parity. We were talking about it all year with the Big Ten being pretty even, ACC being pretty even, both in opposite directions.
Yes,
but pretty even. Just the future's so bright, man.
It is. It's gonna be sick. I'm so excited for next season. I'm excited to see some of these players in the W this summer.
Oh.
We're gonna get into mock draft season so soon, and
I'm about to be so WNBA pilled. Like,
dude, I think I'm the college sports guy, and like you're the more pro sports guy. So I'm gonna learn so much stuff about the WNBA. I'm gonna be so ready, and we'll do our preview show soon, and it's just hype. This got me hyped for more women's basketball.
For real.
And I'm like, oh man, it's coming up soon. We get to watch more. It's awesome. So. Excellent tournament, excellent March Madness. Anything else you want to say?
Shout out LSU, the players.
Shout out to the players, man.
The coaching staff -1.
Yeah, absolutely. we love Angel Reese, LaDasia Williams, BTW follower, loyal follower. Huge day for her. Alexis Morris, Flo J. Johnson. I mean,
wait, hold up. Alexis Morris, why are we calling out Caitlin Clark though?
Yeah.
Did she say something? Did I miss something?
I don't know. She said something about Caitlin, and then she was like, you need to respect LSU, and I couldn't tell if she was talking to like the group or if she was saying, Caitlin Clark, you specifically need to respect LSU. I'm sure Caitlin said some things, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was...
I feel like Angel got back at her.
Respect between shooters.
That was pretty cold.
Big time.
I'm a fan of that.
Dude,
that
kind of stuff. The trash talk is so fun. So fun. LSU Iowa was the perfect matchup for that, for like true competitiveness.
No matter which way it went, you knew it was going to be good at the end.
So shout out LSU. Shout out to the players. We love watching this team. Glad they got a little redemption. They had some doubters. Us. Proved them wrong. Shout out Iowa. Thanks for the ride. Been an excellent season. And we will check in with you guys very soon. We've got some softball going on, heating up.
Big series this week.
We've got softball, we've got lacrosse, we've got some things that tide us over until the W.
Draft next week. A little more than
next week.
April 10th.
Holy smoke. I gotta get on my board. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. It's been an excellent season. Can't wait for the next one. See ya.